All right, what is up, people of the internet? Welcome back to another episode, a special episode of the Waveform podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Marques.
I'm Andrew.
And I'm David.
And big week. A lot of stuff happened this week. Multiple videos, lots of hardware and software to talk about because we had an event. And now we're here to give our true, honest thoughts and talk about all the news. Where do we start?
Well, Final Cut is on the iPad.
Final Cut.
So,
This is true.
Is that I missed that today.
This landed right before the day before Google I/O. And
yeah, 2 days before, maybe? I don't know.
it felt kind of like trolling.
It was on
Yeah.
purpose. It had to have been on purpose.
It had to have been on purpose. I think that actually the sentiment from that was like, number one, finally, but number two, WWDC must be pretty packed.
Yeah,
They had to like
for sure.
move some stuff out of it.
I was surprised that they didn't drop it during the I.O. keynote to
That
take
would've
away
been-
a bunch
That
of
would have been
news.
too obvious, maybe.
I mean, I don't know. Companies do that to each other all the time.
We've seen it. But yeah, no, we got a lot of Google stuff to
We
get
do.
to.
Yeah, we have a ton of AI. Like you said, there's stuff that got announced. But I have one question I want to pose to everyone in this room
Oh, no.
about I/O, and I think it's the most important question. Are the birds real? Are they?
The birds.
Like in that theater, there's so many birds chirping, and you see one or two,
hawk,
but it feels there's like a hawk
an eagle.
screaming at
There's
some
an
point.
eagle
I think it's fake.
So it is an amphitheater.
Yeah, it's outside.
So any noise that happens just gets
There's
amplified.
too many.
It
I think it's
was
fake.
loud.
That is
It
what
was
amphitheater
loud.
does, yeah.
I think it was.
So you think they're
they're
all
real.
real? You think every bird chirp is real?
You still believe in birds?
Real, fake?
I think they're
I think they were. I really liked
50-50
the eagle
hybrid?
The eagle screaming. I thought was really cool.
True. I think Adam found the hawk, like
You know
in
what's
this like
funny?
dead tree, like swaying.
You know the song "Blackbird" by the Beatles?
I'm going to say yes, just so I don't get roasted in the comments.
Okay. Well, they pump in sounds of like birds chirping, and I played that in the car the other day to someone who didn't know the song, and they started looking around. I was like, "What are you doing?" And he was like, "Where are those bird sounds coming from?" I was like, "It's in the song." So maybe they were doing that in the amphitheater too,
I think it's a little. I think it's a little both. If
better
you
than, like,
if
a
you
siren.
set this up,
or maybe they
tell us
mic'd
about the
up
fake
birds.
birds.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we did have a lot of things happening, but I kind of want to start with should we start hardware or software? There's so much to talk about. Software?
They started software. Yeah.
To make sure everyone listens to the whole podcast.
Okay, fair. Because we did make videos covering some of the hardware, and that's out. But let's start with some of the software stuff because it's actually a little bit more fascinating what's going on. We knew that there would be AI talk. Like when ChatGPT took over for the year and Bard came out and was behind and all these narratives started coming out that Google is a little bit slacking in the AI department, we kind of knew that Google would have to make a statement about AI. They made many, many statements about AI. And I kind of feel like the theme of previous IOs to me was always like, yeah, we're an AI company and we have lots of AI research projects, but that's just what they are. It's just research projects. And they'll get kind of spoon-fed a little bit into the products we give to you, but not really.
Yeah.
And so there'd be cool stuff that we'd see, like these crazy AI features and like chatbot demos, even demoed on stage at Google I/O, and then they'd never come out. And so this I/O felt like, now we're going to take all of that stuff. Turns out you guys wanted it, so we're putting it into products that you actually use, and you'll interface with AI all over the place throughout all Google software products. So that was really cool to see.
Yeah.
I
Big red
kinda
alert
wanna-
mode.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, the top three that were sort of the like kicking off the event was Gmail, Google Maps, Google Photos. So Gmail literally has a feature now called Help Me Write. Not now, I think it's coming soon, but these are all things that are coming to things we use, where you literally hit a button and fill out a little prompt, and it just drops an email draft into your like outbox, and you can just edit it or send it as it is. It'll just write an email for you.
Yeah.
Sick. That's what we've been using it for anyway.
Yeah.
But everyone uses Gmail, so now instead of using ChatGPT to write an email and copying and pasting it, it's just whatever Google can do with their new large language model. Boom.
I think one thing I really liked about that Gmail example they used. So the example they used was, you were on a flight, it got canceled. Please write an email for me to get the voucher to get like refunded for this. And like it can use references to other things, whether like confirmation numbers inside of your email to know like I need a refund or a voucher for X flight number.
Yeah.
And it's pulling that into it.
You can
So-
also have it elaborate to make it more convincing or less convincing.
Yeah, I think the example they used was like, a voucher is what you normally get, but I think that I should have a full refund on this. So like make me explain or like make it explain or try and convince these people to give me a little extra on there.
Yeah. So that was like right off the bat. It'll write emails for you. AI. Boom. Okay, great. Another one was Google Maps. There were some interesting features like immersive route preview in certain cities, which was sort of doing this overhead view of mapping out where you're going to drive with AI that can tell you what the weather is going to be at that hour and sort of like previewing it. It's not really AI.
Yeah. We were talking because Andrew and I sat next to each other. And we were talking about this in the booth, but this is what, you know how like a couple of years ago, everyone would just say that everything was AI powered all the time.
I mean, they still do that.
They still do. They still do that, but now it actually has some meaning. In the past, it was like this is automated in some way or something like that. The maps feature, I didn't really understand where there was actual AI happening.
Yeah, it is funny. David and I sat next to each other. You were in a different booth, so I'm now realizing a lot of this conversation David and I probably had already. And now I'm interested in what you think. But I'm glad you said that.
I think because it's AI everywhere, we expect everything to be AI. But now that I think about it, that maps feature was just like a cool maps feature.
It was just a cool maps.
It was. I don't want to take away from it. That was really cool.
It was very cool.
It basically was like it showed an example. I think it's coming to 15 cities of if you took like a bike path down by the water, it would do this cool like 3D almost drone like bird's eye like overview, go through it and
show cars moving and stuff.
Show cars moving. I'm assuming that's what the AI is like. It's
like the traffic data. It's like traffic is heavy, so add more cars. Maybe.
Yeah, and then weather is cloudy or rainy. It made it look rainy.
Still a stretch.
It's a stretch, I think, for AI. It's basically like using the most minimal data points to like put it into a visual representation. But
I think that they're kind of just doing that to compete with Apple Maps because Apple Maps dropped the super immersive city thing like last year.
I was wondering if people actually use that. I guess it was enough for Google to decide to work on it.
It's enough cities. I mean, the Google Maps team needs something to do, I guess, right?
Fair.
When I thought of it, I was like, this is really cool. This is a really cool demo. People are going to see this, freak out about it, show it to their friends, and then just plan their route any normal way.
Right. You're just adding to the core feature. But that's coming to 15 cities by the end of the year. Which is very cool. If we can show it on screen if you're watching.
I guess the only one we know about, we can assume New York City. Just because that's what they showed the example.
And San Francisco.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's Gmail. That's Google Maps. Google Photos one, though, this is where it starts to get into the crazy, like real quick, like 5 minutes into the keynote.
Yeah.
So right off the bat, we've seen Magic Eraser, which is there's something in the background, you kind of circle it, and it will just nuke it from the background of your photo and use AI to fill in what was supposed to be there. That's cool, and it works on the Pixel and Google Photos. There's this new additional version of it now, which is going to be called Magic Editor, which will do way more smart selective AI edits. And they're powerful enough that I literally just tweeted, "What is a photo?" in the middle of the scene. I was like, what is happening? So they had a photo of like a kid sitting on a bench, and they're like, oh, you wanted him to be closer to the middle of the photo? Just highlight the kid on the bench and slide him over. He's got balloons. We'll just make more balloons to fill in where he was supposed to be.
Because that was cool because the balloons were slightly off frame.
They were cut out.
And they were like, we want it to be fully in frame in the center. So he just slides the kid on the bench and the balloons over.
Just draws the rest of the balloon.
And it makes the bench longer.
That's pretty cool.
Photoshop has had this feature for a while called Content Aware Expand, I believe. But this is like, it looked better and a lot faster.
This is just UI. To me, it's like, yes, we've had Content Aware Fill, Content Aware Expand, but you have to know how to use it in Photoshop.
Right.
Where using this on your phone in Google Photos is going to be people going, select, drag, done.
Yeah.
And that sort of powerful UI where it actually works well is the difference, which is why I think it's so cool. There's also a thing about like change. Oh, the sky is cloudy, but we want it to look sunny. All right, just select the sky. All right, it's sunny now.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, we want it to be lit better. Let's just make it all like look nice. We'll take a backpack off, all this stuff.
It's the ultimate what is a photo. Like, I know Google has been really pushing trying to get people to edit in Google Photos more. And that's why they always release these ML features on Pixels first. And then eventually it's not on your phone at all. It's in Google Photos. And then they do it on the server side.
Yeah.
So they do all that processing on the tensor processors in their data centers and not actually on your phone. So yeah, it's getting kind of crazy. They like completely changed some of the pictures that they took.
Yeah. The one they were talking about, it was a woman in front of a waterfall.
Yeah.
And I think it was like first it was cloudy. Let's brighten it up. She was wearing a shoulder strap. Let's take away the shoulder strap. She had her hand out to look like the water was falling on her hand, but she was out of the way. So she moved it over a little bit. I turned to David and I was like, the next thing they're just going to say she was in her living room and the waterfall is like completely fake in the background. They did so many changes to it and it's really awesome. The way I think about it is like you try and teach significant others or like family members who don't take photos how to frame things properly. Now they can take that garbage photo and I can fix every single part of it and make it look framed correctly.
They'll think you're a god. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
How do they not do fences yet?
I know.
The chain link fence.
The chain link fence
needs the chain link.
I needed a reference to that and they didn't deliver.
It's like years old.
Yeah.
When we review this, I think that needs to be our first test subject. Is just draw over every single link in the chain link fence.
The problem is that like that's most of the image, right? Like I can see how that was a hard technical problem, and they first announced that in like 2017 or 2018.
Yeah,
I think it was 2017 that they announced.
I think it was. It was one of the ones I was at, which was 17 or 18,
and they just scrapped it.
Yeah, the thing is it's most of the image, but they're little tiny lines. Like if you can replicate 4 brand new balloons, you can take a little line out of something.
They had a really cool animation when they were doing content where expand, where everything turned into like magical confetti pixels. I highly doubt that will be in the actual production model.
The print said that the UI is subject to change,
true.
and I think that they're just saying it's probably not going to look this amazing. It's just going to like highlight and disappear and reappear probably.
Yeah. That looked really cool though.
It did. It looked like Inception, basically.
Yeah.
The one thing I was interested about that though is all of it is based on drawing out the thing you want fixed, correct? Mm-hmm. They didn't do a great job of explaining that. But so in that sense, if I'm going to draw out the sky, how does it know I want clearer sky or sunnier, or like is it just making that assumption on
that
there?
might be missing UI too. I assume you highlight the sky and instead of it just going, oh, you want enhanced sky, it's sunny now. I think there should be a little dialogue box saying what you're trying to do.
There should, which could lead to some really cool things. Think about like Luminar AI, like
that's
why I want a rocket ship going through the sky in the background. Like
Yeah, well, the object detection, I mean, is getting really good. Kind of like how in iOS you have the built-in touch and hold, and it selects the object. That's basically what they're doing in here too,
in just a way more useful manner than just dragging a cutout piece into iMessage.
Yeah. Like that was cool, but this is more useful.
Yeah, for sure.
Because Apple's was always like, copy it on your phone, open it in Photoshop on your computer. But I was like, what if you just edit it on your phone instead of having to copy it over?
I guess they don't have the content aware fill aspect of it because they're just cutting out.
They probably will I'm sure at WWDC this year.
They're going to just go, now we filled in the background. You can just remove things from your photo. We call it
dynamic eraser.
It's going to happen.
Dynamic eraser.
So I'm calling that.
Magic. Magic is such an Apple word, but yeah, they'll call it something like
Google
that.
already took it. Yeah. So.
Okay, I want to talk about something crazy that I really enjoyed, which is called
And we think of it as an AI-first notebook that helps you learn faster. How it works is you can simply pick the files from Google Drive, and it effectively creates a personalized and private AI model that has expertise in the information that you give it.
Basically, there's all these different large language models that we use and interact with things like Bard, but let's say you wanted to train this AI model on your own documents and things that you know, and then it could help you create new things or study things based on your own documents. And they went through this whole demo of like, let's say you're a student and you've got your notes typed out in Google Docs. You train the model on your notes, and then it'll just summarize the notes for you, create a study guide for you, help quiz you on the topics. I'm like, if I had this when I was in college, I would have been significally more productive.
Oh, yeah.
Because studying was not my forte, and this would have been fire.
Oh, yeah. Your brain plaster would have just been like firing on all cylinders. Awesome. Yeah. My concern, we were talking about this a little bit. Mm-hmm. So you're training it, you're basically creating your own little transformer model, right?
Your own training data set. I think the model's still the same, but it's trained on.
Yeah, it's trained on your own personal stuff. Mm-hmm. But the way that generative AI still works is still just predictive words. Right. Mm-hmm. So my concern, and I want to see this in action, and I think this is why it's in the labs feature right now still. Yeah. But I want to see, like, if you create a study guide for yourself, what if it just starts lying? Because you know how generative AI just like lies all the time?
True.
What if it just strings together incorrect facts? And then if you're creating like a flashcard system or a study guide system, you're just learning bad data.
I also wonder, like, is there X amount of data input you need to put in it before, because I feel like less data input has
Right.
more of a chance of attempting to fill in the blanks.
Yeah,
kind
their
of.
their thing had like 10 weeks of notes basically, which is a decent amount of data.
And I'm also interested in terms of notes. Like, you two write stuff and take a lot of notes for a while, but if it were to pull the notes from this Google I/O right now and attempt to make real words out of this horrible spelling and punctuation, like,
Sloppy.
I feel like it could, but that seems like a potential issue. And like, I'm not fact checking all of my notes. If I'm in class, I'm just taking them down as fast as possible. The professor's going crazy. I could spell things. Autocorrect could change the wrong word. Now that's the incorrect facts. Now I'm getting the incorrect
Now
facts
it's quizzing
back
you on
because I didn't just reread and be like, oh, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I think that's that's the crux behind a lot of these features is in my head, it's working perfectly. So it's amazing. But I think in real life, they're very complicated. And that's why they're still in labs is because there's lots of ways that they can go wrong.
Yeah. But if it works,
Then it's amazing.
that's why it's called Tailwind, because there's a tailwind behind you because you're flying through your learning.
I believe
assume.
you. I believe you.
That's my guess.
Yeah.
I'm just confused if like, what if I have the same fact twice in my notes and one of them's like wrong? Which one does it pick?
There's a lot of what
Then
ifs
it's
that
making
could
a
break this.
decision for you.
Yeah.
That's the weird thing.
It's interesting because they're generally not just grabbing chunks of text and replacing it. Usually it's still generating like token by token. This is what the word is going to be.
This is what we were talking about with the AI video before, right? Which is it is just going word by word and predicting the next thing. And it doesn't have this like built-in sentiment analysis or fact checker. It doesn't know what it's saying or what to do about what it's saying.
Right.
Like there's a lot of cool BARD features they talked about, which is like, give me a summary of these schools. Okay, make them a table. Oh, add a column to this table with prices. And it'll do all these things because it knows what a column is and it knows what all these things
Those
are.
aren't fact oriented.
But they're not like fact check. Like if you
They're functions.
like the data in the chart might be wrong
You're right.
and it might always be wrong.
I do think, and like we'll talk about that stuff that you just said later, but previously when they were talking about AI and Gmail, like write my email and everything, when they were talking about it here, when they were talking about it later, they were very specifically saying like this is your starting point. I think they said that probably like 100 times. Like this is a great place for you to start.
Yeah.
And I think that's their quick way of saying like, please don't just send this right away. Like this is helping you. This is a tool.
The problem is if they're making tools that make it so you don't really have to look at things like emails, they're like, oh, write a long email because I don't want to write a long email. Like reading and proofing a long email takes almost as much effort as it does to write the email. The first
I
Not
would
for
disagree.
me.
I think
I would rather have it write the email and me proof it. Mentally,
like change
mentally.
the
I guess it takes the mental weight off of
it
you.
feels like super, and I like wrote this down in my notes later, especially when we get into Google Workspaces, but like super personalized templates,
Yeah.
like super hyper specific templates to what you need. And like, that's awesome. Because how many times have people looked for a resume template? But what if you could say, write me a resume, I'm looking for a development job.
Tailored for
Yeah, and it can
this
like tailor, be hyper specific. And then when you can do that with like super specific things that might just be day-to-day life aspects, like that's really cool.
What I would
And a tool.
love, and they didn't mention this specifically, is if the generated, say, emails through your Gmail, if it scraped the emails that you've already sent and it wrote it in your voice, that would be even better. Because like the examples that they showed off were super, super corporate, but I'm pretty sure I would be able to read an email from someone that felt really corporate and just be like, ugh. But if I was able to generate one that was like in the voice that I always send emails in, I think that would
Which
be
is like
sick.
90% exclamation marks from me. I need to tone
All
it down a
lowercase.
little bit.
Run
No,
on
I
it.
capitalize. I just am too excited about everything.
I say
It's very
LMAO
unprofessional.
and put emojis in my corporate emails. So
The email app that I use now, which is super useful, it's called Superhuman, has a snippet feature, which there's a whole bunch of like snippets that I've made because I get asked for the studio shipping address all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And so I Command K, snippet, insert, and it types out this whole thing. The studio shipping address is blah,
Nice.
blah, blah. The phone number for shipping is blah, blah, blah. And it's got this whole thing. So I don't have to type it every time. And Google's been good at like autofilling some of that stuff in Gmail if you use Gmail. But it's just like next level for me to go, I've had conversations with this person before. The language model is going to read those conversations and just pick up the conversation where it left off and like finish booking this hotel or canceling or asking for a refund. It's just going to just do the work for me.
and that kind of moves us into the plugins feature
Yeah,
that they
they're-
have for Bard.
Yeah.
So
Bard got a lot of improvements.
yeah, a huge thing that got announced by ChatGPT a couple of months ago was ChatGPT plugins, where basically you could start things in ChatGPT and then you'd be like, hey, I want to order a pizza. And it'd be like Domino's plugin. And then all of a sudden a pizza gets ordered for you through ChatGPT. Now there's going to be all these plugins for Bard, and they already announced like 30 plus partners.
Yeah.
And that just feels really powerful. The confusing kind of thing is that Bard is still just like a quote unquote AI experiment from Google. And I feel like most people are going to be interfacing with most Google products within Google search itself or like a Google app.
Yep.
And having Bard be like this separate kind of platform that you use instead of being your main way that you interact with Google services feels kind of strange.
So it was interesting the way they framed it. And I found it kind of fascinating where they would talk about each one of these tools and they'd frame it each time. And so when they talked about Google search, they talked about how they're going to add AI generated things at the top of search. And then with each application of AI, they would say, with this type of AI, we can do this. And with Bard, they said, with a chat, like a chat experience of AI, you can do this. So it just felt like Bard was siloed off into, here's the chat AI if you want that, here's the other AI. And so you have to go find Bard to use Bard features, but they're also going to build in a lot of stuff into google.com search.
This is the interesting thing for me is I feel like at this point in time, or at least when Bard is a little bit better, you know how the default landing page for like Chrome is just google.com? Like you open a new tab, you've got a new Google window. I think they should make every time you open a new window, a new tab, it's Bard. Because you're starting from like, this links out to everything else you do. It links out to all your other Google services. It can write an email for you that you can import into Google, into Gmail. It can import stuff into Docs. It's basically like a nexus.
It feels like the most functional thing.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a nexus that goes out to all the other things that you want to do.
Yeah.
So using Bard as like their core nexus and then like linking out seems a lot better than starting with Google Search, which has a very specialized function and can maybe import into other services, but is not nearly as powerful as Bard.
I agree.
I mean, you said you open up Chrome and you're like, oh, I'm opening this up because I'm planning a trip. And you type into Bard, I'm planning a trip. And now it's bringing up Expedia and United.com and like literally laying out your tabs for you to like have the most efficient work. That could be really cool.
Yeah. It's just weird that they still kind of consider Bard to be like, oh, it's an experimental siloed feature over here, but now it's like the most powerful product they have.
Yeah. They did open up the whitelist.
Yeah.
So anyone can use it, or anyone in however 200 countries or whatever they say.
As long as you speak English, Japanese, or Korean, and then 40 other languages coming soon.
Interesting. Okay.
And it is now powered by their new Palm 2 model.
Yeah, right. There's a new large language model that is more advanced. And there's a ton of other features. Like it'll bring up images now. It will use the plugin to, I think it's called Adobe Firefly, to generate images with that.
I was confused by that because like Firefly is one of the plugins, but they have their own image generation product. So I think that was just, I would bet you that Adobe paid them for that to like show off the plugin because they have their own image generation product. And
I can't believe they wouldn't use their own.
Yeah.
That was a little confusing.
the kind of cool thing that I thought was interesting is that they have Palm 2, right? And Palm 2 is like, it's like Lambda. It's their big model that they have.
Yep.
They have different scaled versions of Palm 2 and they name them different things. So they've got Gecko, Otter, Bison, and Unicorn. And those are basically like how big the size of the model is.
Yeah. Gecko can fit on a device.
Right.
That's pretty fire.
Oh, yeah. That's
But
going to be tensor based.
A bison's bigger than a unicorn.
This is true.
That's a good point.
That's a fact.
Maybe it's like
They asked Bard what the sizes were and it just got it wrong.
Technically, a gecko is bigger than a unicorn.
What?
Oh, what?
A gecko is bigger than a unicorn.
Oh, because you're saying
How?
It's not real.
they're not real. I see.
Have some imagination.
Are you saying? I think you meant geckos weren't real. I was like, where are we living right now? True. Maybe it was
Okay.
like how magical the animal is. You know.
Probably. Sorry, I
Unicorn is
interrupted.
probably just opening the door for a bunch of other future stuff.
Yeah, they're just saying unicorns are like the best.
Yeah. Well, okay, there's one more. I just want to say one more thing before we get to the ad break, which is there was a really long, boring, but important section in the middle, which was just talking about responsible AI, which it doesn't get all the hype and the flowers of like the new pixels and stuff like that. But it mentions the fact that like, okay, we're generating all this stuff, these images that are more and more realistic with AI. We need a way to know if it's AI or not. There should be one, either watermarks or two, metadata from everything we create so that it's easily tagged or identifiable as created by AI. I agree with all that. I don't know how well it applies to the way bad actors will use the products, but I think it's a good thing to be thinking about as this stuff moves forward.
There was one other thing that they mentioned later as well, where I believe if you were creating AI generated images and they were showing up in Google search, there's like literally a tag at the bottom. A lot of times it'll be like image Shutterstock, like there would be an AI generated tag right there because this is becoming so realistic. And besides watermark, metadata is hard to be like.
It's hard because it doesn't
not a lot
show
of
up
people are
everywhere.
looking at metadata, but
And it can be stripped.
and they didn't show the watermark that was going to be.
Their like de facto watermark was the little Bard logo.
Little star.
Yeah.
The little star,
Yeah.
which is their just general AI logo now.
So to me, that little by the link that you would click for that feels almost like the most prominent way of showing that
That
this
was
is AI
the most
generated.
useful because I think that'll show up the most. I just think like when you see like the Pope image go viral on Twitter, like there is no watermark, there's no metadata.
Yeah.
It has to be uncovered. Especially imagine a bad actor where it's not necessarily a joke, funny tweet, and 2 minutes
they're
later the guy's like,
intentionally
"This is
trying
AI,
to
haha."
ruin the plan.
It's a guy like trying to convince
Cause
people
panic.
it's real.
Yeah.
They will strip the metadata and there will be no watermarks.
It's so easy to strip metadata.
Yeah.
Like that was my thought process. There are quite a few companies that are like trying to figure out how to embed like secret metadata or watermarks that you can't even see into
Blockchain.
images that can be like what?
I'm realizing I can't like whisper into the mic because we don't have headphones on and no one can.
No. No, but yeah, there's companies that are trying to do that, but I still see it being very difficult because like honestly, if I take a screenshot, that wipes all the metadata.
Yep.
If I bring it into Photoshop and export without metadata, that wipes all the metadata. So unless they're figuring out a way to include metadata that isn't the traditional form of having metadata in an image or a watermark, like if it has a watermark in the little bottom right corner, you just crop it by
crop.
3%. Like,
That's the problem. The watermark either is easily taken out
Or it's invisible.
Or it's too big that it ruins the picture. And then like the people who are actually trying to use this for a tool in good faith, it's ruined because it has to span the entire image.
they have invisible watermarks now. I just feel like it would be so easy to just take a screenshot, or you just have to like change the file basically.
Yeah, I kind of imagine like you create something with Bard or some image creator tool, and it has this little invisible watermark, let's say, and then it goes viral on Twitter, and anyone who uses a tool to analyze the image will go, oh, because of this tool, we know that it's created by Bard because it left the invisible watermark. And that's great for people who use
Yeah.
Bard. If you're not using Bard, that still needs to be thought about everywhere.
It would have to
else.
be integrated into like Twitter, where it would automatically say AI generated image because it scrapes the metadata of every image that's uploaded.
Yeah.
But there are no engineers left at Twitter, so that's never going to happen.
There's a whole ecosystem that has to be built around.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's all there. I think we'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We have a lot more to talk about. But you know what we did bring with us to the hotel? And we can't even hear the music because we don't have headphones on. But we brought our trivia
playing it
board.
right now?
So it's time for
I'm
trivia.
just going to pretend I hear it.
Yeah, you guys can't hear it, but trust me, it's awesome. All right, first
Trivia,
question for Google I/O trivia. This is brought to you by Ellis. So this question is brought to you by a great trivia suggestion that Ellis lost, but you know who you are. I don't know who that is.
What is that?
We don't know. I don't know who that
Probably
is.
got
Ellis put
tweeted
that
at
in.
us.
love
Yeah,
does that
probably.
mean?
All right. Google DeepMind has been brought in and out of Google several times over the past decade. But today at I/O, it was announced that Google's parent company, Alphabet, will be merging DeepMind with what Google subsidiary?
Oh, I already knew this. I
I
thought this
just
was
saw this on stage, and
I thought this
forgot
was a
about it already.
previous question, but if
Maybe it
not,
was.
and you guys
No, they
don't
just
know.
announced it today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I remember the DeepMind thing going on stage, and then the thing that came after, which is the answer to the trivia question, I completely forgot.
Yeah, cool.
I don't remember any of these.
This is either a free point for me or I'm really dumb.
And you're just blacked out.
Well, we'll get to these, of course, after the episode or at the end of the episode. So until then,
Wait, before we leave, can I just say something?
No.
yeah.
Yeah.
Old McSundar had a show, AI, I/O.
And we're not coming back.
That was it.
All right, we're back. So I think that something that everyone's been waiting for basically ever since Microsoft dropped the whole Bing search thing, we had all these conversations around our website still going to get traffic? And is this going to be a paradox? And is nobody going to write content anymore because you're just scraping all this content and using it for Bing search? Everyone's been wondering, when is Google going to do that?
Yeah.
And what's it going to look like, right? Because I think the theme for all this generative AI stuff is Microsoft's just dumping stuff into the world and then like live patching stuff. Whereas Google's trying to be a little more careful because they have a lot to lose and nothing to gain, whereas Microsoft has everything to gain and nothing to lose. Like we said in our video about AI that we have done 20 of them now. I don't know which one it was.
Yeah.
But basically Google released its version of its generative AI search today.
Yeah. Right at the top.
Yeah, right at the top. It's pretty interesting how it works. It's not too dissimilar to Bing. You ask a question into Google search and then it writes a generative AI answer. It shows 3 very prominent links with header images from those links. They said something like, we know humans and humans always want to look deeper. So they're definitely going to read the articles. And then I was like, press X to doubt.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't, I feel like a lot of people are just going to search that and then are just going to run away and never come back. But I think one thing that they're trying to do to counteract that is they are doing a thing where they show a lot more human input from the internet now. So instead of just scraping like really big main websites and taking that information, they had this feature before where they showed like, it's called like conversations or something, like people talking about that topic all over the internet. Sort of like how you put Reddit at the end of a search so you can see actual humans talking about it instead of someone who wrote for an SEO optimized web page.
Yep.
But yeah, effectively, it's just like it's written by effectively a Bard or Chat GPT, and then you've got all these links on the side. It does have material you theming, which I found very pretty, which is based on a lot of the sites. So if you search like, what's a better family trip with kids and a dog? Is it Bryce Canyon or Arches National Park? And then it comes up with this Material You themed kind of green because of the national park stuff. I don't know. It's kind of interesting looking. I'm still a little bit worried that websites are not going to get nearly
They're
as
not going
much
to get
traffic.
any traffic.
Yeah. Anyway,
And it can include photos like
Yeah.
in there as well. So because you could say like, I think their example was like, what's the best sightseeing in X place? And it'll show photos of that. So like if it's showing what people are saying about it, photos of it, and why would you ever
ever click
click
on
on
What
to
I
a
need,
website.
closing my tab now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just kind of interesting how they focus so much on like using AI responsibly. They did not really mention about how this is just going to kill website traffic and potentially kill websites that it's taking the data from.
Like you'd think that if they were going to be slower about this than Microsoft, they would take this more into account because Microsoft got a lot of flack for that. It doesn't seem like they really are. They have some other features, like there's a follow-up button where it generates like potential follow-up questions that you have, and it'll add it to the search, and you can just keep going. And they have a thumbs up and a thumbs down button, unlike YouTube. So they're clearly not talking to the YouTube team about that, but
They'll take that away soon before we hurt Bard's feelings.
yeah, but search looks a little different now. Right now, again, this AI generated search thing is a experimental labs feature as well. Basically, everything that we're going to talk about today with the AI stuff is a labs feature.
Yep.
You can go to g.co/labs to like sign up to try everything, but everything is in beta right now.
I signed up for everything.
Yeah, you have to sign up for everything. So at least they're like seeing how it plays out in the real world before they just unleash it into the world. But
Yeah.
yeah. Do you guys have thoughts on? I feel like it's not that different from our Bing conversation because it is effectively the same thing.
I think very similar. There are some like cool things like adding images into stuff. Like I still think it's really neat. I think it's just like ultimately again it's searching but just being it's like the joke everyone makes of like Google search is so good at typing in the most random thing and it knowing what you're talking about, and now it can just be ultra specific about that rather than if you were looking for Bryce Canyon and what was the other one, like Canyonlands or something?
Arches National Park.
And you were trying to figure out if you can bring kids, bring a dog, if it's easily accessible, you would have 2 separate searches for both the national parks going into and then finding the specific things. Now it's just telling you all right there.
I also just am very curious about the accuracy again, because it's like using generative AI for things that are just more creative doesn't really matter. But when you're doing search and Google's entire ethos is we're going to give you information, we're going to be accurate about that information, I didn't really hear a lot in the keynote about them saying we take accuracy really
Fact checking
seriously, and
and
this
things
is
like
going to
that.
be specifically scraped or whatever from the websites. That kind of concerns me. I'm very interested to try it. I want to try to break it and see how easy it is to break.
You won't be alone.
Yeah,
Be
yeah.
alone. I don't have specific thoughts, but that did remind me of a story that I'll try to tell really quickly. I was at the studio the other day, and I had this memory of something I wanted to reference, of something that I saw on a talk show that was like a robot, of like a pink robot thing that I saw once, and I was like, I can't remember what it is. And I started Googling and looking on YouTube of like pink robot talk show, clown robot pink, and I was like putting in every combination of search things, and I could not find it. I must have put in 30 different Google searches. I couldn't find it on Reddit, couldn't find it on YouTube. And then Jonah said, have you tried asking ChatGPT? And then I opened up ChatGPT and I asked it, and it instantly answered a full sentence with the name of the thing, which I then went to YouTube and searched and found.
Wait, what is it?
What?
It's called Mr. Blobby. It's really stupid. Don't ask me why I was looking this
Oh
up.
my god.
Yeah.
Holy crap!
This is terrifying.
Was this on John Oliver?
Yeah. No, it was on a different. See, that was the thing. I couldn't remember what show it was.
I think
on.
they've shown this in John Oliver.
I was looking on like
Noel's
UK
House
talk
Party.
show.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was tough to find, but
Okay.
ChatGPT immediately found it, and that just had me thinking the whole time of like, yeah, I'm going to use Bard for a lot of stuff.
What did you put into ChatGPT? Because a conversation we had prior was like, we think in SEO now.
I asked it in natural language, what was the name of the pink robot on that UK talk show? That
And it just came
like,
up.
and it just was like, oh, you're talking about Mr. Blobby, right?
Wow.
And it gave me the history and the episode and the host and everything.
And searching in SEO didn't really work.
Did not, could not find it. It was really weird, but it worked perfectly, and it was impossible with Google or YouTube.
Wow.
Very strange.
Interesting. Yeah, for the listeners, SEO is search engine optimization, which is basically
I
like
think I
keywords.
hope everyone knows.
People probably don't. When you work in publishing, you do, but a lot of people don't always know what SEO
Yeah,
means.
fair.
So anyway,
I-
wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
The power of natural language.
I do have one more thing about search, but it's more just because there was a point in the way they ended the search conversation that made me feel bad, and I didn't like it. And they were going through a whole example of how search and shopping through Bard can be like put together. And essentially, to go really quick through their example, it's like, I want a bike, I want an e-bike. It needs to go this far. It needs to be this color. So that obviously can answer all those questions, and then go one step further, where after you make that bike purchase, you can start thinking about where you want to ride the bike, how, if you want to make what the name for your bike gang. But then they mention this thing at the end. It's like, craft me a social media post about me buying my new bike. Oh, and I hated it so much. And I just like immediately was thinking of like the, hey Google, it's my kid's first day at school, write me a Facebook post about how proud I am of them. And just like, are we at this weird point where we talk about like void of emotion? Like, are the tweets I'm gonna read, are the skeets on Blue Sky gonna be like written by Bard? Like, where, I don't know, that part made me sad.
Every single time we see a feature like this, it just reminds me of LinkedIn, because LinkedIn's been doing this for years, where if someone gets a new job on LinkedIn, there'll be a button. It'll be like, congratulate Marques on the new job. And there'll be a button that says, congratulations, Marques, I'm so proud of you. You tap the button and it posts a comment that says exactly that.
Oh.
And that just feels so devoid of any emotion. It's like, you know how we're writing emails now and we're using like AI to generate longer emails? And then when it gets to me, I'm like, I ain't reading that. Summarize that for me. And it's like, what are we doing?
I was gonna say, like, the examples they give got closer and closer to being personal and with emotion, but never crossed the line.
Right.
Like, oh, I would like a refund on my flight, like a very functional email.
Yeah.
Or like, oh, I need to explain something to someone, so write this explainer based on this data. Very functional. But they would always like get right up to the line, but never cross over. Just like, oh, my friend, like, is like really feeling sad, like cheer him up and like write an email for me. And it would just, it could do that too, but Google never went there. But people are going to go
The
there.
the social post, I think, is what felt like crossing that line.
It's like
to
right
me.
on the line. Because I could
think
see
it
a social
crosses.
post about buying a bike is not super emotional and just like, I don't remember the name of the bike, but I just want to tell my bike.
I don't.
friends
You
on
just
Twitter.
bought it. It's
I know, but
you're
we'll
making
use
the post
Bard.
because you literally just purchased it. Like, I think that's crossing. I think
It's a
weird.
little over. It's a little over. But yeah, they were smart about never crossing it.
It's just weird to have AI write like social posts, because
Yes.
then it's just you're just reading robot text.
Is it a
all
social
day.
post? Like,
Is that
what?
even social?
Yeah. What are we doing?
I don't know.
I can't wait till my bard talks to your bard on Twitter later.
The internet is just like firing in all cylinders, and we're just like,
It's just robots. It's just humans drooling and their robots talking to each other. Ugh, yeah.
we're outsourcing our minds. Yeah. Anyway.
All right.
Do you want to
You
get to
had something-
products?
Oh, yeah.
I think let's just go to
Let's
products.
get right to
Yeah,
products.
let's-
All right. I want to talk about, let's start with the Pixel 7a. That was the first one. That was the most straightforward one. We have a review up on it now if you want to watch that, get my succinct 7-minute thoughts on this product. But here's an extended,
Yeah.
not
7
really.
minutes for
It happened
7A.
to be 7 minutes, but it is the 7a.
Okay.
Anyway, the In the Weeds version is now. This is a $499 Android phone. It is a Pixel, so it has the advantages of being a Pixel, but it is $50 more expensive than last year. So number one is, okay, what's new about this phone? The Pixel 6a was quite good for $449. This one has a 90 hertz display now, has new cameras, and has wireless charging. And so the price goes up a little bit, and you're like, wow, this is a pretty good phone for $499. But it also has the same Tensor G2 and 8 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of storage as the Pixel 7 that's 6 months old, which you can also get right now pretty easily for also $499. And so that became a little bit more weird. So Google's making this whole lineup of Pixels now. We'll get to the Pixel Fold in a second, but you can buy a phone anywhere now between $350, which is where the Pixel 6a stays in the lineup, and $1,800, which is the starting price of the Pixel Fold.
Yeah.
And somewhere all the way in the middle is, well, you could get a Pixel 7 or a 7a for right around $500. Which one should you get?
7.
99 times out of 100, I'm going to say get the 7. Even though it's older, it's the same spec. It's going to get software updates for just about as long. It also has faster wireless charging. It also feels a little bit smoother at 90 hertz for whatever reason. It's also 90 hertz out of the box, although the 7a is 60 hertz out of the box for some reason. Roughly the same battery life. Yeah, you have to turn
display
it on.
or something. Yeah.
But yeah, it's made of real glass instead of plastic like the 7a.
Gorilla Glass Victus on the screen instead of Gorilla Glass 3.
Exactly. So there's just a whole bunch of little things that add up to a better phone at the same price. So I would recommend getting the Pixel 7 for the same price. But the 7a exists now. It will probably also drop in price later. Thoughts on the 7a? New colors too.
The colors are
Coral.
hot.
Corral.
Coral.
It's good.
Coral's online exclusive.
Okay.
It's really, really good looking. They didn't send it to like any press for some reason.
No, I saw some on YouTube.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, we didn't have it.
Yeah, I was really jealous.
We got the blue and the black. which
Blue
is
looks
kinda-
okay. I like the blue.
Yeah. Yeah, the blue's good. A lot of the reviews called it like a Pixel 7 by any other name, or like I'm seeing double because again, they're basically the same phone. I think that they are basically the same phone, except in every little way that they're not, which is the Gorilla Glass 3 instead of Gorilla Glass Victus. It's the fact that they're basically the same size, the 7 and the 7a, except there's a little bit more of a chin on the display of the 7a, so the screen is technically smaller. It's a 6.1 instead of 6.3, I think.
Yep.
The wireless charging, 7.5 watts, isn't that helpful? I think you said in your review that like you can put it on your wireless charger in your car and it doesn't lose battery, but it doesn't really gain
I gained
battery.
1% in 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Just
Not
because I was like high brightness navigation, Bluetooth
Not
streaming,
great.
a whole bunch.
It's 18 watt wired charging instead of the 30 watt, which I think is more like 25 wired charging of the Pixel 7.
Yeah.
The camera sensor is way better than it was on the 6A because it's how much? 40%
Well, we can talk
bigger?
about that.
Yeah,
So,
it's 72% bigger. Main
72%.
camera sensor,
yeah. So the 6A had the tried and true 12 megapixel IMX 363 that like every Pixel for years had. And so
Yeah.
that was kind of like a safe thing.
Yeah.
This was a brand new sensor in the 7A. It's
Which
a
could have
64
been a
megapixel
disaster.
sensor.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's new and you can't actually shoot 64 megapixels. It bends down to 16, but it is a larger physically sensor. So it'll get more light. It will be able to take faster shutter speeds in low light photos. It will be able to take softer depth of field shots in regular lighting and close-up subjects. So it turned out to be better. They did I think the processing pretty well. And so that was nice to see. It also has an ultra wide, which had a surprising amount of distortion. I took some ultra wide shots where I was just like, I'm just going to crop in. Like this doesn't look good at the edges. Like I do get more, but like,
What everyone
wow.
wants out of an ultra wide.
Yeah, it was shockingly distorted, and that seemed like a weird Google omission. Like when I think of Google, I think of like them making a super ultra wide look not so distorted through software. This one didn't do it, so maybe they'll fix that later. Decent selfie camera. Yeah, here's a quick A/B test. Would you even notice some of these things in phones? Plastic back versus glass back.
Not on this phone.
On this phone,
feels glasticky, kind of like Samsung used to do.
Feels really close. I hate that you use glastick.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
But it is, when I held that phone, it felt fine.
Yeah, it does feel
just like the glass
yeah.
phone. So that one I didn't mind so much. Would you notice 6.3 inch versus 6.1 inch display?
Not really.
Not super.
Yeah.
Would you even necessarily notice the difference between the old 12 megapixel shots and the new 16 megapixel shots?
I noticed the depth of field difference, but I would bet you that regular people would not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you notice 7.5 watt wireless charging versus 20 watt wireless charging?
15?
20 or
20?
15. It's higher. It's about
higher.
double.
It
And
might be 20. No, I think you're right. It's 20.
I think it's
I'm
20,
wrong.
and I would actually
It's
notice
funny because when you guys just said that before, I was like, this sounds like a total non-issue.
that. Yeah.
like-
the wireless charging.
Wireless charging in your car running high brightness navigation music, you don't charge, but like wireless charging in your car running all of that, like most of my wireless charging is just sitting on my desk or
Yeah.
next to my bed to make sure it's full in the morning or at
trickle
the end of
charge.
work. Yeah.
Is it lower minimum brightness? I wasn't able to find that in the spec sheet.
I don't know about minimum. The
Or maximum,
maximums-
sorry. Maximum.
Maximums were
500 nits?
I would have to double check.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say that they're dramatically different.
So, yeah, this is the thing. You wouldn't notice most of these things, but I feel like
But all together.
if we're trying to recommend devices to consumers, like I would want to educate consumers that like I know this is newer, but you can get the same phone but with everything better for basically the same price 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
So it's like I really want to get a PSA out to the general public that like you can buy a Pixel 7 and it's a little bit better.
Budget phone of the year.
The Pixel 7?
Yeah, I gave it an award.
Wait.
It's like a great phone.
That was the
You gave phone of the year to Pixel 7?
yeah.
Oh, yeah, sorry, phone of the year.
Phone of the
Yeah,
year,
yeah, yeah.
Like
Like
and budget phone of the year.
I was like, please don't
Yeah.
go into the budget debate again.
No, it's like a really good phone, and it's like 7 months
Set
old.
it on the screen today.
It's they put it on the screen.
Yeah.
It's a good phone. So
The
I
only
would
other
say it's
difference
good.
is the 7 has IP68 versus this has IP67. But again, something consumers not going to. If you really like the colors and you're a regular person, you're not going to notice
Here's
these things.
one other thing that I
guess.
don't think is confirmed.
Yeah.
But when they were talking about Magic Editor, they said will only be available to new phones. Is Pixel 7 in that list, or is
That
only
sounds
7A in
insane.
that list?
I mean,
and that
yeah.
also sounds like something Google would say to hype up the release in the phones coming out in the fall, and then let all the phones use it
That'd be
by
wild.
January.
That'd be wild.
If 7A only had, well, it's 7A and then 8
Fold.
and Fold would all have it, but would 7 have it and 7 Pro?
It would be hilarious if it didn't.
'Cause they
it's
both
the
have
same
but they've
Tensor
done this
G2.
before.
Yeah.
It's the same RAM.
They did it with Magic Eraser, didn't they? They said this, that was when Tensor was out, and they said this will only be available on Tensor,
Yeah.
and then 6 months later, they roll it out to all Pixel
I could understand it because it was Tensor versus other stuff that didn't have Tensor.
And the
this time
premium
it's the
phone.
same.
Right.
It's the same phone on
and it's the
inside.
cheaper phone.
yeah.
That's why they would be.
yeah,
hilarious.
that would be hilarious.
but technically, by their wording, I'm pretty sure they said available on new phones. Which I assume at this point we're talking about new phones, which is
Yeah.
stuff they announced and stuff they're going to announce.
7 months old.
We'll have to
Interesting
see.
wording. Interesting wording.
We'll have to see. I also think because Magic Editor was also not coming till fall anyways, right? So then maybe it won't even be 7A. Maybe it'll only be
Pixel
new.
8.
But then it has to go on the Fold.
later this year.
Did they demo it on the Fold?
They didn't demo it, but like, how do you not put it on the Fold if it's
Yeah.
on the 8?
Right. I mean, it's going to eventually come to every Android phone through Google
Exactly.
Photos anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah, because everything eventually gets moved to the Google servers, and they just let you do it in Google Photos on their servers.
They always start with that.
3 to
Pixel
6 months
only.
later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Pixel 7a is a decent phone. It's not quite as like slam dunk deal as maybe it was in the past with the A series. And anytime the price goes up inside the A series
Yeah.
like bracket, people are sensitive to it, which is why I think look at the 6A at $349 if you really want like a deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my thoughts.
What
on
was 6A MSRP when it was launched?
450.
it. I think it was way lower. Hold on.
No, I think it was 450 because I
450.
remember talking about it going up. So like, how long
Yeah.
ago was it?
Dude,
'Cause
the
Pixel A series started at like 350 at
The
one point.
4A was 350, and it was the
Yeah.
best deal of all time.
We're
Yeah.
getting to the point where
Pixel 4A is like my favorite Pixel.
you're $150 up on that now
Yeah.
from the original A series. I don't think they can ever put the A over 500
6A was 449.
Okay. Yeah.
at launch. Yeah.
So it's $100 off now.
The 6A.
Now, yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, except for the stuttery 60
It's not a
hertz.
good performing phone.
Yeah.
I got heat for that, but let's just be honest, it's not smooth.
Yeah, I will also say that the 7A in 60 hertz mode also has that issue, which is very
Yeah.
strange. It feels like it's like dropping frames a lot. And I was showing you this in the car on our way to Wawa the other day. When you're pulling down the notification shade, like
Yeah.
8 times out of 10, it'll like stutter on its way down.
I am a little bit curious about the choice to be 60 hertz out the box on the A series when it's capable of 90, and if there's any more reason behind that, because the
Battery.
same exact chip and basically the same battery size are in the Pixel 7, which is 90 hertz out the box. Am I crazy?
I would bet you that because this phone is more targeted towards budget users, they're probably not the ones that are like, I need 90 hertz, I need this, I need that, and they care more about battery life.
I see.
So for the people that are buying the A series phones, they're like, if we can squeeze a little more battery life out of this, and if you happen to be a power user, turn it on.
That's fair.
You know
my
what it's also going to be? Because at a carrier service, when you're buying a plan, that's going to be $500, and the Pixel 7 is still going to be whatever they're going to charge you.
$599, yeah.
So like that is still going to be the cheap Pixel phone, and
true.
people are going to get it.
Also, you can, just like last year, you can buy a millimeter wave one from Verizon for another $50.
Yeah.
Last year was an extra $100 for the 7.
Jesus.
But for the 7A, you can get one for $549
If you're on Verizon and really want that.
and really want the millimeter wave
can do it.
version. Yeah.
All right, we got to take a quick break. We got more pixels and hardware to talk about, so we're going to do that in our last segment. But of course, as usual, before we hit that break, hit that trivia.
Trivia, and none of you guys can hear it. It's just for me. All right, second question. So, which version of Android was the first one optimized for tablets?
Oh,
I know
wow.
this.
Ooh. Dave,
I
that's
have
the
to-
second time
I
you
have to go
said you
through a
better get both of these right.
History lesson in my head with this, because I had the Zoom.
There's Android tablet.
It launched with the Motorola Zoom.
Yeah, I know
good.
this.
And I
Also
owned it.
Matrix
Oh, I
sequel.
remember it. Yes.
I remember the couch I was
I know
sitting
it
on
now.
at my Mormon friend's house when
I remember getting the Zoom as well.
Learned
I was
about this
I was in
information.
college. Oh, we'll get to that after the break. Be right back. All right, welcome back. Let's talk about the last bit, the exciting bits, at least to me, because I like hardware.
People cheered in the crowd so loudly.
We got pretty hyped for these.
Yeah.
We got a new Pixel tablet and a new Pixel folding tablet called the Pixel Fold.
Nice.
I don't know. I don't like the way I said that, but we'll just keep it in.
Folding
It's a folding phone.
New fold and a new
becomes a tablet.
Okay, so very different in the spectrum of price. I guess we'll start with
Tablet.
no. I like let's do the Fold first.
Okay.
because the Fold is wild. The Fold is a very confusing, conflicting product to me because I really like it and want it, and I also know that I will not be recommending this to most people. Pretty fair.
Sounds
right?
evergreen for all our folding.
Okay, so it's a Pixel, but like even multiplied. So it is $1,800. And so when you come in at that price, you immediately attract the early adopter and the enthusiast, who both care a lot about what? Design, aesthetics, incredible specs and performance. And
New
what does this phone
technology.
have? Tensor G2 from 7 months ago, and not the best looking bezels.
Yeah.
So it's not going to appeal to the $1,800 phone buyer. But I really like the Pixel stuff about it.
Right.
And it has all of that stuff still. But now it's a 7.5-inch screen in the inside that unfolds. And I've been waiting for this sort of passport size thing. And the decision they made, and you can see this in the impressions video, is they moved a lot of the folding hardware to like above and below the hinge in order to keep it thin. So it's a 180-degree fold, but it's thinner than any other foldable I've ever used.
In the US,
other than
the Xiaomi
the
foldable.
and the Surface Duo.
Oh.
But that's not a folding screen, so I don't count
That's
that.
not a phone.
Oh, right. It's not a phone. It's a
enough.
Surface.
Fair enough. But it is a really thin, really nice to hold tablet, passport-sized tablet thing. Mm-hmm. And so I really like it, and I'm gonna I'm gonna get one, and I'm gonna review it and see what it's like. But I also know that at $1,800, you should probably just get the Fold 4 from Samsung. Like that's the better phone for most people. That's
You
probably
get
'cause
three
that's the
Pixel
one.
7s for that price.
Yeah.
You could also get all the other phones. So yeah, it's out. What do you guys think now that you've seen it?
So, yeah. I I don't know. The hardware is really nice. I'm really glad they have really nice hardware. First generation Google hardware can be very rough. The cool thing is I know that they've been working on foldable interfaces for a very long time. Basically, ever since the first Galaxy Fold came out, Google's been working super tightly with Samsung to like make foldable interfaces really, like they had Android 12L. And the L just meant large screen displays, aka foldables. So now we're on Android
Tablets.
14 is about to come out, and they've been working on this for a long time. They showed a lot of like multitasking modes that seemed really natural. They have the new multitasking bar that you can slide up with, which Samsung already has.
Samsung already had that, but it was in a permanent dock at the bottom of the screen.
This goes
one
away. It hides.
comes up from the multitasking bar.
Yeah,
I thought it was fire.
Yeah,
I like that a lot.
Yeah. The bezels do seem a little rough. I understand that you need bezels of some kind to be able to hold a foldable.
Put a real webcam in there.
Yeah.
Real selfie camera.
Real selfie camera.
Instead of the garbage that's under the screen of the Samsung.
Yeah.
Just saying.
I will say that they didn't really hide the hinge in between the bezels very well, and it looks a little more rough than like the Galaxy Fold 4.
You're saying the crease?
Not the crease, but
Above
like
the screen.
where the two pieces like kind of touch each other, and then there's the screen that floats on top. Yeah, it does. It looks a little bit rough when you open it. But I want to try it more. So we'll see. I think that you're definitely spot on that like I've wanted a foldable for a long time, but I don't love Samsung's UI. I always love the Pixel UI.
Yeah.
So having something that has both is really amazing. And I like that it's in more of the Oppo Find N form factor.
So the candy bar thing.
Yeah, because the candy bar from Samsung is. Do you remember the first generation
Yeah, it was
Fold?
funny. Looking back at that phone,
Oh my god!
I gave that kind of an easy time. Like I was like, wow, guys, it folds. Like, can we ignore this
literally
bezel?
destroyed
It
it.
folds. But now that I look back at it, I'm like, whoa.
The inner display of the first Fold that was like 1/8 the size of the actual phone was
like a sliver.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. I do want to try it. I know that a lot of the people at the office are like gonna pre-order it.
Mm-hmm.
You get a free Pixel Watch if you pre-order it, which is
get that inventory out
hilarious.
the door.
I know that the Pixel Watch has been selling really well. I think they released a stat, well, comparatively, they released a stat that it's like the best-selling Android wearable or something, or Wear OS wearable.
That's a very high bar.
Yeah. But I think that they're just trying to move people into the Google Everything ecosystem. So if you just don't have a smartwatch yet and you're buying a Pixel Fold, they're like, we're gonna get one on your wrist and you're gonna be in the Pixel Watch ecosystem
Who
for
is
the
that
rest of the
person
time.
that doesn't have?
It's
Who
weird
has
because
$1,800
Yeah.
and is gonna drop it on a Pixel Fold, but somehow doesn't already have the Pixel Watch.
a
Exactly.
smartwatch, yeah, in general. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Funny enough, I think you have your choice of the LTE or the Wi-Fi only version, and the LTE one's $50 more expensive, so I don't know why they're giving you the option.
They're both
yeah.
free. You just take whatever one you want.
Yeah, so the Fold seems cool. I think all of us in the office are probably going to try it for a little bit and then see how we like it. So
I loved it. I mean, I played with it for like 40 minutes and I was like, wow, it's 120 hertz on the outside and inside.
Yeah.
It was smooth. And I think to your point, like a lot of people look at the bezels when they aren't using the phone and they look kind of weird. But then once you actually use the phone and you're looking at the screen, that's the important part.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like when I look at the screens now, I'm more willing to forgive like a slightly thicker bezel.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at the screen. The screen's nice.
yeah.
So
If I can deal with the Pixel 3 XL like bathtub notch, I think I
if
can
you
get
went through
away
that,
with.
you'd be fine.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Fine.
this whole thing, I came into this thinking it's a foldable. I'm not really that interested in foldables. And then I left it thinking like, I really want to try that. I
Yeah.
think I really do want to try it. There are some really cool things about it. Like you said, some of the software was really neat. I really liked I liked how if you are multitasking on both screens and then you swipe into recent apps, it'll stay docked together with the multitasking things that you're using. So you can go back if you're in like Google or like a video and messages, like that'll stay together when you bring it back later, or like Sheets and your
Gmail,
email or
whatever,
something
yeah.
like that. Yeah. I thought that was really neat. They showed off, which I thought was pretty cool, the like live translation where you flip the whole thing open and you can speak into one side seeing your translation, and then the other side where someone's looking at you can see that.
That's clever.
I know that's like a weird, like it's kind of strange, but it also is way better than the like I've seen a lot of people mention this, like they say they can go to foreign countries and actually
Oh, yeah.
be able to communicate with people, but that's talk into it, look at it, show it to them.
Yeah.
At least you kind of have some sort of like a little quicker back and forth.
We were memeing this a little bit. Like the lady in the demo was sort of like, here, look at it.
Yeah.
I thought what they were going to do is, because when you fold it open, it's such a big display. I thought it would split the screen in half, and on one side it would read the text towards you, and on the other side it would read towards them. So if you were like, sitting at a table across from somebody, you could both be looking down at it, and it would like talk into it and translate it.
I think they're liking the screen on the other side.
Yeah, I think they were just trying to flex that.
Google Translate is one of those apps where every time I see an improvement of it, I'm like, damn, that's good. And then I never use it. When I was in Colombia, the entire time we're like, we need someone who speaks good Spanish because we're not using our apps very well. But it has a feature where like you can say something in English, it'll immediately transcribe it, hit play, and it'll say it in Spanish.
Yeah.
Like out loud.
Yeah.
And it's like, that would have been really useful in a taxi or something like
Yeah.
that. I don't know if I'm going to like be in the front seat of the taxi, like talking to the phone and like showing them the screen.
Yeah.
But the audio experience is nice, but it was cool.
The next big step of that is now that we have audio AI, and there's some products that can do this already, where you say, like, I think Humane had this in their demo.
Oh God.
However that ends up looking, but like where you can say something into it, say, translate this for me, and then in your voice, it says it in the language, the other language, which will be really cool. Do you have any other thoughts on the tablet?
Not,
I mean, the foldable?
Yeah, I've got some
thing?
thoughts on
The
the
fold?
tablets. We'll get to in a minute.
Yeah,
but I think I liked the Pixel Fold way more than I thought I would. I definitely am going to try it out at some point. I don't think I'll pre-order it necessarily because
You don't want that Pixel Watch?
Yes, I just need another Pixel Watch attempting to connect to my phone at all hours of the office. I think it looks really cool. I'm excited to try it. The thing is like, if you haven't used a foldable, can you drop $1,800 without knowing you're going to enjoy using a foldable all the time? It does seem thinner. So ultimately, it does seem like the normal phone function should be fine, which I know is good. But then am I just paying 3 times as much money that I'm never going to open it up? We'll see. I would like to try. I'm more excited now than I was before. I think I tried to curb my own hype and then saw
Curb your
That's smart.
enthusiasm.
Yes, saw fancy. I got totally sold by the fancy presentation of it, and
There are also a bunch of other question marks with it that we have to figure out in the review. One is it's still Tensor G2, and it is a smaller battery. It is the biggest battery in a foldable, but it is still a 4400 or something like that.
And Tensor G2 has not traditionally been super battery efficient.
And it's a gigantic unfolding screen on the inside.
Yeah.
So what's the battery life going to be like? That's number one. We don't know. Number two is it is thinner than the regular Pixel, so it is yet again a new set of camera sensors.
Yeah.
There are slightly thinner modules, and they had to make a slightly thinner periscope lens, and all these things are all slightly smaller than the flagship Pixel 7 Pro.
Yeah.
So we'll have to again see what those cameras do.
Samsung has done that in their folds too. Their folds always have lesser
Slightly less.
cameras than their most recent flagships.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to test those. And then it's just the apps question of like they did like there's 50 new updated Google apps for, optimizing for the tablet screen size, and hopefully a bunch of new third-party apps that work really well with it too. The different column sizes and all that, we'll have to play with that. That's a question mark. But then just like performance, Tensor G2 holding up over time, Android 14, all that fun stuff. We'll see.
I am fairly optimistic about battery life because I think that like the reason that this phone is so thin is I think that they want to encourage people to feel okay using it closed. When you only need to use it as a closed phone, you just use the front display, which is also 120 hertz. It's a glass screen instead of sort of that plastic kind of thing. And so if it's about the same thickness as a Pixel 7, and then you're using it as a regular phone, but it has a way bigger battery, that's kind of dope. And then you just open it when you want to use expanded app features.
Yeah.
So I'm optimistic because I think that with a lot of foldables, a lot of people kind of just open it for the novelty and use apps in big screen mode for the novelty, but they don't actually need to. So the more that it can feel like a regular phone most of the time, and then you have the convenience of the tablet when you need it, I think that's kind of the ultimate in between.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll depend on the ratio of how much you use outside versus the inside.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I like
All right, on to the main event.
The main event, the Pixel tablet, ladies and gentlemen, it is a real thing. I wish I could hear the sound effects, but did you hear it?
I did it at the same time David did. Yeah.
That's perfect. Okay, so Pixel tablet gets unveiled. It is what we thought it was, which is it's a tablet that connects to a speaker magnet dock that makes it a Google Home. The things that we didn't know that we now know are, one, it's a Tensor G2. It's an 11-inch 60 hertz LCD. It's not a super high-end tablet, and the price will be $499, and it will include... David, you want to? I'm sure you would love to remind us of our bet, but it will include the dock in the box.
Yeah, we've been talking about this off camera pretty much all day. I had to remind them
We've been talking about
Get it
it.
out.
So yeah, I
Get
think
it out.
one person's been talking about it a lot more.
Yeah,
than
this
the
is our
others.
bet, was whether or not it came with the dock included. It does, which is dope. You can also buy an additional dock for $129.
Oh, I missed that. You can buy it.
Yes, you can buy an additional dock. I think it's a little bit weird to buy an additional dock and then just have just a speaker dock sitting somewhere that you can't use unless you throw the tablet on it.
Yeah.
That's kind of strange. But I mean, if you just want to buy it,
I like the
then I
the
guess.
options there, which is nice.
Yeah, because you could like put it in a corner or something, and it's felt so it kind of blends in with your environment.
It
and then
would
you
have been
throw
nice if the dock had
its own Bluetooth connection.
or just like a Google Assistant thing built in, so you
Yeah.
can still ask it stuff from across the
You
room.
could still play music on it without having to have the.
That's a
Yeah.
good point.
Yeah,
but it doesn't. So there are pins on the dock, and those 4 pins match up to the 4 pins on the back of the tablet. And when you connect them, those pins are everything. That's data and power. So if you actually, it's how you charge the tablet. You
Yeah.
put it on the dock.
there's a USB-C port.
There
too.
is a port,
Yeah.
but it doesn't come with a USB-C cable.
No.
So you'll have to charge it on the dock. And then the other thing is, it's got a speaker built into the tablet. So if you're playing music and you want that like slightly louder speaker, which I've listened to it a little bit, it's louder, but it's not that loud. We'll test it more. You put it on the speaker dock, and then now it's a Google Home. It's got hub mode. You lock it, and it will go into hub mode and do all the hub mode stuff. So that was cool.
You want to bring that up?
Yeah, I think hub mode was the thing that we're kind of learning about this that really like showed how this thing is really neat and how like what hub mode is essentially when it's docked, that makes it, feel like a Nest Hub. You have like home controls, you have like easy voice to text, like stuff on that makes it super easy. But when you want it to be in the tablet mode, you either pull it off or use the fingerprint sensor, and then you're going into regular Google apps and
when
stuff
you
like
unlock
that.
it.
I'm curious if you can have multiple users' fingerprints preloaded, so that if you have a different set of apps as me, as I would have,
I think that's
as
exactly what it
you.
does.
I know they mentioned multi-user. I forget if it does that where it sets you up per fingerprint, or if it's just multiple fingerprints can unlock it
Yeah.
to go to your.
Because
so
Android has multi-user
I
built in.
do think they said
Yeah.
logins.
Yeah, I think it's 2 completely different users. Kind
That's
of,
dope.
Two?
Which the iPad
Doesn't.
hasn't had forever. And the way they showed it on stage, which is new, but we haven't seen it in action yet, is like there's a little picture in the corner and you just tap the picture. Because like a tablet that's at home is floating around your house. Like
Exactly,
maybe
yeah.
you and someone else uses it. You tap the picture and then it sort of brings you to the login screen. You tap your new picture, log in with your fingerprint, and it's a new tablet. New apps, new home screen, new everything. So I would want to get the one with more storage to make sure this would work well. But I think that's the best implementation of multi-user on a tablet we've ever seen.
Yeah.
Pretty
if you
cool.
can just touch your fingerprint to it and it's like, this is David's tablet. It's got all David's apps on it. And then I dock it. And then later on, Andrew comes in because he's hanging out at my house for some reason.
Yeah.
And he logs into your tablet.
and he logs
all the
into
time.
It's like the new spare key. It's like you give them
I was gonna say
access to your tablet.
exactly.
login.
It's a spare key. It's access to your tablet. Yeah. So I mean, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
That way your kids aren't like messing around with your bank account and stuff.
They're not
you know?
buying
Yeah,
apps and
exactly.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and buying apps on your account.
Yeah. So I think that seems to be working, or it seems to be the way it's going to work. I don't personally need one because I have a tablet already and I have a Google Home already. So obviously I don't need it, but there's going to be a lot of people who don't have either and who can get this, and it will be both. And I think that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a dual purpose thing. You lock it. I'm curious how one-to-one feature parity it is with just buying a Google Home, which
a
is like
Nest Hub.
$230. Can it be your Nest security camera? Can it?
Probably.
Because the one that's plugged in all the time can, but if it's just going to be popping off the dock, I don't know if that's going to be a feature.
Probably in hub mode.
I would guess in hub mode. I'm assuming hub mode's gonna have exactly that, everything that a Nest Home Hub has.
I hope so.
In different, I think it's even. They were showing also an overhaul of Google Home,
The new app
which
finally.
looked really good on tablet mode, like with all the different sliders and everything. So I think that's gonna be fantastic and that's what I'm so excited about this. $500, I can have my Nest Hub home that has all my home controls in my living room or something like that. And then when I travel to the West Coast to make a podcast in a hotel room, I can be an iPad kid on the plane and just watch downloaded Netflix anime or movies or whatever I want on there. So like that's all I want this for.
Poor Claire's at home with no home controls now.
Claire will live.
She has her Pixel, right? So she can just.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like that's $500. I think that's great. I kind of want two of them. I kind of want one for my kitchen as well, where I can pull the tablet off to the side and bring it with me if I'm cooking something and I'm like,
You wouldn't get two
on
docks?
a different. No,
It'd be kind of ugly.
One
I
dock,
wouldn't
two
get
tablets?
two docks. I don't want. What?
Well, you're saying you want two tablets,
I want two of these
but one
with
dock.
dock.
Oh, they
no.
come with docks. Okay.
I would put them one in the kitchen with the dock, one in my living room with the dock. Also, just the green. I have green paint in my living room.
Oh
This
yeah, we
green
should
would
also
look
mention there's
fantastic.
three colors.
Yeah.
There's like a dark green, which is the only one that comes with black bezels. And then there's like a sea foam, which is, it's called porcelain.
Porcelain, yeah.
So, okay, the green one's called hazel, and it's the only one that comes with black bezels. And then there's porcelain, which has white bezels and is sort of like this more porcelain color, I guess. And then there's a rose, which is like slightly pink. It's like the Pixel 3 sand pink in a way. Also has white bezels. So if you're like in a living room, you probably want to get the hazel, but I'm assuming that most of these are in people's like kitchens. So you get any of the other colors, you have a white bezel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, white bezel's fine in the kitchen.
Also, the case. Do we know if the case comes with this or
I don't think it does.
Okay. Well, it's
the
still
case is
really
kinda
sick
cool.
because the case can fit on the back, match the color, and it has this interesting like metal oval that when you take it off of the speaker, now you have a kickstand. So if you want to go on the plane or whatever and kick it up, or if you want to distract your kids at dinner because they're being noisy, you can kick it up on the table, but then it can fold back in and then still snap right onto the home. It like doesn't affect the
So
pogo pins
cool.
at all.
I
think
really
it's
like
really
that.
sweet.
It's clever.
Yeah. Yeah, the 256 gigabyte is $100 more, so it's $599 instead of $499, which is pretty nice. I'm trying to look for accessories. I don't really know if they're selling. They showed the accessories, but I don't think they are selling them yet. They'll probably sell them when
A couple
when
of
it
them are
comes out.
live on Google Store.
Really?
There's
I'm looking right now.
There's the
Oh, it's
case,
probably the accessories
charger.
section.
Yeah, it's in the accessories section.
Okay.
Because I was looking to see if they sold the hub yet, and the hub is coming soon. It says it's not for sale yet. If you want to buy a separate one,
A dock. Okay.
yeah, the dock.
Pixel.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, there's still.
I do think that a separate. I guess if you really like to carry the tablet around with you all day, if you have one
Oh
like
my God.
by your bed and in the living room, then maybe you would get two of them. But that just feels.
I think those are the two, like the kitchen, somewhere downstairs, somewhere upstairs, basically, like the bedroom and the kitchen or something.
Yeah, if you want to bring them before, I would hate to just leave it without a tablet out there. I think that would look kind of weird.
So the official case is $80. Which
The one
seems
with
like,
the wire?
yeah,
That one's $80.
$80, and then there's a spec made standee shell is what they call it, which is basically like it has a kickstand built in, and that's $50.
That looks. It's a totally different color, and it looks like it affects the pins. As
The
well.
official case, the cases are the same color as the body, so it looks exactly the same basically. And then it has the metal ring. $80 seems kind of steep
It
for
does
that.
seem kind of steep. I will say the
But
guy in front of
not that
me,
surprised.
when we were watching the thing, he was like taking notes or whatever, and then he looked up at the end and he looked back at us. He was like, "There's no keyboard." And I was like, "No, there's no keyboard." And he was like, "Oof, ouch," and started writing about how bad that was.
But
And
how
I was
are you
like,
gonna-
I don't think this is a tablet people are gonna put.
Yeah,
You're not
what
going
do
to
you-
carry a separate keyboard with you when it's mostly on the dock.
Yeah,
That's
I
the
think
thing.
this is the people who put a tablet on a keyboard are suddenly like a high performance. Like,
Yeah,
those
this is
people
media
are
consumption.
not buying this tablet.
This is
So-
media
Yeah,
consumption.
this is entertainment purposes when you're using it in tablet mode. And
Yeah.
they did, to be fair, they also do mention how Google has some of the best voice to text translate. So like there's not a lot, there is the split screen keyboard, but like most of the time you're going to want to put text on this thing. You're just going to use your voice.
Facts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that guy, you know who you are.
Yeah. I love this. I'm so glad we got to the point it got announced, and I still love everything about it.
Yeah.
And I cannot wait for one of these.
Watch
This
it
is what
suck.
We'll test it. We'll see. We'll see about this camera. It's an 8 megapixel camera on the back. Has no portrait mode. Has no high end features.
Oh,
it's
no.
just like it's a tablet with a camera. What are you going to use it for?
Yeah.
like occasional video calls, whatever.
Shut up.
It's got a front facing 8 megapixel camera.
Stop
We
talking.
don't know how good the
Let
battery
me
life
love it.
is.
I'm
It's a
leaving.
60 hertz display. I'm sure it's going to be a fine battery, but we still got to test that. So we'll see. But I think it's in a pretty good place right now.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
we have one more quick thing to talk about. We'll make
Okay.
it kind of quick, even though we probably could talk for a while, which is Find My Android.
Right.
Yes.
Underrated announcement of
Yeah, for
the
sure.
whole thing.
And I have many questions about it.
I feel
as
like this
well.
was the most active we were into Slack when
I know.
this got
Yeah.
announced.
We started talking about this. Okay,
Yeah.
so basically, they started actually with this announcement of if you are being followed by a rogue AirTag, it will now notify you on your Android phone. And that was the thing that was like making headlines before. Oh, people are putting AirTags in cars, and their iPhones are telling them that they're being followed by an AirTag. But hey, if you're stalking somebody with an Android phone, they're not even.
Yeah, they're not
find
going
out.
to know, right?
Now it's being built into Android because they can do that, and that's
They worked
finally
with Apple
there.
on this, by the way.
Thankfully, they had
yeah.
to.
Yeah.
And then there was this mention of they're actually on this network of billions of Android phones, which are all contributing to sort of this Find My thing now. And low key, that's a way bigger Find My network than iPhones in
Yeah.
a lot of parts of the world.
In anywhere but the United States.
Everywhere but everywhere here.
Even
still-
probably the United States.
Yeah, even still in the United States, if it's not bigger, it's still enough.
Yeah, it's enormous. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We have a super useful Find My network of billions of Android phones.
Yeah, they've always had, well, not always, but for a very long time, they've had Find My Device, which is just like, it's a place you can go on your Google account on the internet where you can ring your phone remotely or you can wipe your phone remotely. But now the fact that every device is sort of contributing to it. So even if I think it's like, even if it doesn't have data, other phones that walk by will kind of like give its location and triangulate it is really cool. And they also announced that they're going to be able to implement it into like partner devices. So like, I think they showed off some Sony headphones, so like XM5s or something. And my question is, you have to pay to be on Apple's Find My network. Like the Van Moof bike has Find My, the premium one.
Yeah.
The cheaper Van Moof bike that they just announced doesn't have it.
Right.
And I'm assuming that Apple charges a licensing fee to use it. My question is, does Google also charge a licensing fee to put Find My into this? I assume they do.
I would assume that, but I don't know.
Yeah. And it's going to be like, so now are all devices going to pay both licensing fees to Apple and Google?
To be on both.
And my other, sorry.
Well, I was just saying, who else is just going to even do the Android one? Because you assume all Android devices are part of this. So then you're just going to assume all Samsung products are probably going to have, like, let's just think earbuds, headphones first, right? That's what you lose a ton of.
Yeah.
Galaxy Buds are going to have to be
Right.
on this because you lose it. Pixel Buds are going to have to be on this. They don't have to pay a licensing fee. Are my Sony Link Buds going to be on it? Because Sony makes Android devices. Are they going to pay for that?
Right.
But then go a step further. Are Sennheiser
Right.
earbuds going to be on this? Like, who's going to pay into that? I feel like we just so often, at least in the US, think there's Apple and there's just everything else seems to fall under Android when it doesn't really. But there are a lot
kinda
of things.
does.
It kind of does, but at
Yeah.
the same time, like, I don't know if the like what are the
I see what you're
Sennheiser earbuds like
headphones.
yeah, like, are those going to be on the Find My network now, or are they going to have to pay extra for that going
Yeah.
into it?
Yeah. I'm also wondering that something I was really hoping for at this I/O that they didn't announce is an AirTag competitor sold by Google.
Yeah.
There was a fake one that was distributed with a name that I don't want to say on the podcast, with a funny name that was like a fake Google AirTag that, anyway, I was hoping that they would release one of those. They didn't. Which feels weird because now that they launched this like enhanced Find My system, I would hope that they would have their own AirTag competitor, because I've always told people if you have any Apple devices, you don't even need an iPhone. If you have a MacBook, an AirTag is the best $30 you will ever spend, because it means you will literally never lose the thing you attach it to ever again. And if you do, you will find it. And like, it's for that like peace of mind, it is really, really good. And so being able to add this Android Find My feature to any, a camera or something is super worth it.
Yeah.
Chipolo, which is Tile's biggest competitor, is on Apple's Find My.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
Tile sued Apple because of the whole like you can either
you
join
can't be
us
on-
or we'll destroy you
Yeah,
thing
you
that
can't
they
be on
did.
both. Yeah,
Yeah, we did a whole video about this.
Yeah, they should make.
that might be. A
Why
thing
does
too. Apple
Google
might
not
go,
have a
"Oh,
new?
I don't know why
They should have
Google isn't releasing a
1000%.
tracker
Yeah.
because they would sell like if they sold it for even like $5 less, if they sold it for $25 instead of 30, they'd
It's
probably sell
coming.
a ton.
It's coming.
It's
It
got
has
to be
to be
coming.
coming.
I bet you
It's
it'll
gotta
it'll
be.
probably come out in the fall with the new Google hardware.
that would be
So,
fire."
yeah.
I hope we get one. That'd
Yeah,
be sick.
that'd be awesome.
Well,
Yeah,
that's the in the weeds. We've gone through everything.
pretty
We
much.
actually went through the entire I/O.
You just watch this instead of watching the IO recap.
This is probably just
Then
as
you
long.
wouldn't see the bird.
Oh, and Bard got dark theme. I wanted to
Oh
say that.
yeah.
True.
Biggest applause of the day. Probably.
That's true.
Can I
That's
just say
yeah.
the applause in person is way more annoying than on the live stream. I was just staring at people
That's
like, why
fake.
are
Also,
you applauding?
no one was applauding.
It was probably engineers that were sitting in the front that were
It was the
applauding.
birds.
It was like,
was
that's
the
my
birds.
product. It was the birds were
Fake
applauding.
birds. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Ferds.
Trivia time.
All right, trivia, get out your whiteboards. We brought these all the way from New Jersey to be here with us in sunny California. Even though it wasn't
Worth
sunny
it.
this morning, it was freezing.
It was. Yeah.
We were freezing.
It was so cold. I was very upset.
Still sunny.
Still sunny.
It was not. It was very cloudy.
It's always
it
sunny in
got
San
sunny.
Francisco.
Yeah. Okay.
If we
Anyway,
had Magic Editor, it could have been sunny.
question number 1. Google DeepMind has been brought in and out of Google several times over the past decade. But today, at Google I/O, it was announced that Google's parent company Alphabet will be merging DeepMind with what Google subsidiary? You can't hear the music, but I pressed the waiting music. So you got like 30 seconds to write your answer. David has already wrote the answer. He's staring at me in my soul. Andrew's blacking out.
I'm going all
I
in.
don't know at all.
I'm all in,
like, I
baby.
have absolutely no
I'm
idea.
either
I just
extremely
don't.
right
You guys
or
always talk about Google subsidiaries, and I just don't know any of them.
Marques is writing.
Oh wait,
Andrew's
or
staring at
did
me.
you say Alphabet
Don't let
subsidiary?
David look.
I'm not looking.
Okay.
Also, why would I change my answer when I'm already correct?
Ooh, got him. Okay. Flip him and read.
Wait, Andrew, you're done?
Yeah, I wrote Google.
Wrong.
I wrote Google Brain.
Correct.
I
you
wrote
s-
Google X.
Wrong.
Don't you say Google Brain in the next question?
What?
What?
What was the next question?
Next question. Great segue.
That's what I'm here for.
Which version of Android was the first one optimized for tablets? And I pressed the waiting
At
button.
least I know I can guess at this one.
Yep. Quick update on the score while we're waiting. Marques has 14. Andrew has 9. David has 14. Andrew, what's
Just
going on?
here to
bro?
get trivia questions wrong and chew bubblegum. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
All right, you guys ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, flip them and read.
Oh, you're right. I got the number and the name wrong. I got the number right.
What'd you say?
I said Android 4.0 ice cream sandwich.
Wrong.
Yeah, but it's
Crunk.
Kurt, wrong. Sorry. And
I just wrote
Andrew,
8. How's that? That
Wrong.
works. Well, yeah, it can still be wrong. But
Okay.
I wrote Honeycomb.
Correct.
Let's go.
Android honeycomb.
what number was honeycomb? 3
I
or
believe it was 3.
3?
Yeah.
HI? Yeah, that was
let
right
me
before.
double check.
So ice cream sandwich was 4, but
Yeah, that was
was
4.0, yeah.
that was Nexus. Galaxy Nexus.
The awkward thing about Honeycomb is it only went on tablets. It wasn't really
Yeah.
tablet optimized. It
So I
only
had a
went on
Zoom.
tablets.
It was on the Motorola Zoom.
It was on the
and
Zoom.
it was like it was called like Hollow UI.
Hollow UI was Ice Cream Sandwich, which also launched on Honeycomb at the same time.
That's why I got
Dang, so close. All right, final score. Marques with 14 still. Andrew with
yo,
9
dude,
still.
stop laughing. I'll come over there.
David in the lead with 15.
My Iceland mess ups have nothing on this. Let's go.
Well played. Well done.
Thank
well
you.
done, David.
Thank
We've ran out of time. I'm sure this is just as long as the keynote at this point, but
I'm so hungry. We have to get in and out.
yeah, we're
We're
gonna
definitely
go to
going
let's
directly
wrap
to
this up
In
and
and
go to In and Out.
Yeah.
Any last words on anything we should talk about?
I think I should get another trivia point for getting the stand question correct.
I'm gonna veto that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
All right.
Sorry.
All
That's
on the
fair.
same page.
That's
there.
fair.
If you were in dead last, I'd think about it,
That's okay.
but that's a no for me.
All right.
You know what? We'll give a point to Andrew just for that.
I want to give a point to Brandon because he's helping us shoot this episode.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Oh,
Brandon.
this is the first. Oh, I'm gonna
the
put
aperture.
All right, here.
Oh,
Who
no,
am I
you're
saying this to?
Oh.
Waveform is produced by Adam Molina, Ellis Rovin, and Brandon Havard on camera today. We're partnered with Vox Media Podcast Network, and our intro outro music was created by Vane Sill.